Jai Gurudatta, dear Sanmarga Sadhaks. I am very, very happy and proud to see you all back again on this Facebook Live series of I Am Born to Succeed. That's the very intrinsic, true belief of mankind. Deep down, everybody really, really believes that. No matter what they are, no matter what they do, no matter how they are, what, where, and when, wherever they are, human beings, always believe at the deepest layer of their heart that I am born to succeed because I am designed to succeed. Mankind knows this. And that is the reason why we have this desires. Desires are not bad. They indicate man can achieve whatever he or she wants. And before I go ahead, I'm very, very happy to see you all back again. I keep saying this because this gives an enormous sense of connect and being together with you all on this Sunday sessions. But last Sunday, because of the Navaratri sadhana, we could not come together. That was the day of Dasara. And as in the last session, I have detailed you the importance and the necessity of mankind to meditate and experience their own true self and their intrinsic true beliefs, their system, their original deep down inner potential on the day of Dasara. We were having a very elaborate sadhana shivar and sadhana session there. We all, through the Navaratri sadhana and the holy 9 days, 9 nights, have meditated on the various forms of that Holy Mother, starting from the Shailaputri and ending to the Siddhidatri. Shailaputri is the Virgin Mother, very eager to embrace the Prince Charming, Lord Shiva. Jagannatha, Kundalini, Mooladhara, Sthita, Mahashakti, Sahasrara में Sadhasiva. The union of these two, mind and its inner infinite potential. It's a journey. It's a slow experience of transformation. And before I go ahead, I also would like to answer a question that we have received in the email. As I said, any of you and all of you can send your queries, doubts, and what you want me to talk upon on these Sundays. You can ask me any question, you can ask me to talk on any subject, and I would be very happy and pleased to. But one such email that we got during this time is, it reads as, Guruji, you say I am born to succeed and that is my true intrinsic belief. That truly is. That truly is. That truly is. Trust me. And if that is so, he has written a lot, but at the end he would like to ask, why is that I am not able to, or why is that everybody not able to feel that? Let me tell you one thing, my dear. That is the truth. The Sanatana Dharma, the Upanishad, the Advaita Sara Rahasya, the greatest gurus like Gaudapadacharya, or the greatest gurus like Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada, the holy Mahamaharshis have not once, innumerable times enumerated that it is truly the true intrinsic belief of every life to reach the zenith of its expression. Trying to continue to ever expand in its own expression. Only realizing that its potential or its ability to express and expand itself is infinite. We all came from one single cell. One single cell could not express. And it took various forms of expression in various forms of life forms. And finally, when life evolved to the human being stage, human being is the only one animal that not only has instinctive wisdom, but also intuitive wisdom. We not only have this instinctive, I have to eat food because I'm feeling hungry. Nobody needs to teach us. Nobody needs to teach it to animals. It just happens. A newborn neonate tries to suck the breast of the mother without anybody telling. That's because we have that instinctive knowledge. But we also have intuitive knowledge about everything. That is the reason why man sitting here can imagine, guess, make theories about stars, about the micro atoms, subatomic particles. Man first imagines. He has that intuitive wisdom. All this we can find in many, many examples that man truly has that belief. And with your email or the comments that I see from you, I am very happy that you are all also realizing that yes, that's the true intrinsic belief. I am born to succeed because I am designed to succeed. That's your true intrinsic belief. But the question is, why everybody is not able to naturally feel it? And why everybody is struggling in spite of the help given by the ancient masters? To tell you the truth, 50% of our true intrinsic ever flowing inner infinite conviction that I am born to succeed, 50% of that conviction is eaten away by our subjective consciousness with enormous amount of self-doubt, with enormous amount of self-harming tendencies, self-doubt. Every time when we try to do something, we have this question, can I do that? Can I do that very good? Has that happened very well with me? And every time a small obstacle, every time a small obstacle, small difficulty happens in the path, man is shaken from deep within. Happens many times. How can I do that? How? Self-doubt and need or necessity to acquire validation from the surroundings. 50% of all our inner exuberance, intelligence is blocked by the self-harming tendencies of self-doubt, and at least 20% of 20 to 30% of all our that inner exuberance, intelligence is blocked by seeking validation from the surroundings. Man is a social animal, and because man is a social animal, man needs association with fellow beings. And because of that, why fellow beings are needed again here? Because man is a social animal, he has this intrinsic quality to feel that his existence is valued. We all seek approval of our existence from others. If somebody ignores us, we have a lot of problem. Most people, at least 99.9 people, when somebody ignores them, it's a huge difficulty. So, we have an innate urge for seeking approval of our existence. And we want them to appreciate us. And if somebody is not appreciating, if somebody appreciates us, it's okay. But if somebody says any harsh things towards us, we are again moved. And we all want other people around, the people around us, to cherish us. These three: seeking approval, seeking appreciation from others, and seeking that validation or being valued is very important to human being. And at least 30% of our energies are lost in securing all these three. We want our people to appreciate. We want our people to conform to our ways of life. We want everybody around us to accept, motivate, and cherish us. But because everybody is trying to do that, now no person, I am trying to tell you the truth. Now you have to think and validate within your own self. Every time when you are trying to do something, you love playing a game, for example. When you play a game and when you lose in that, are you not disappointed? Are you not dissatisfied? Are you not dejected? Most of the times, yes. Are you able to feel that? Anything that you do, you will feel, you will be taken aback. And then that creates an enormous amount of self-doubt. Can I get there? Can I do that? Can I achieve that? How can I do that? Am I competent enough? We keep asking ourselves, am I competent enough to achieve that? How is that possible? Instead of achieving or instead of living our own dreams, we start questioning our own dreams. How is this possible? I want this, but how is it possible? Who will do that? In our childhood, if you see, these days it has reduced in the general population, but during the 80s and during the 70s, if somebody wants to become rich or somebody wants to achieve something, then who will give you the opportunity was the question. Opportunities are never given. You actually, create them. You need to derive them. But then the question is, who will give you the opportunity? Who will help you? If you want money, from where come money will come? Do you think money grows on the trees? People used to say that. These days it has reduced a lot, thankfully. So these self-conflicting or self-harming and self-limiting thoughts and trying to seek approval. Now I want to do this, but I want my mother or I want my spouse or I want my friends to understand and motivate me and cooperate with me. They are also doing something. They are also seeking cooperation. And thereby, now when a group of 5 people, example, a group of 5 people doing 5 different things, expecting cooperation from all the 5 people, slowly life turns into business. Because 5 people doing 5 different things, expecting cooperation from the rest of the 4 people, all 5. Now, you see, now everybody seems need cooperation. Now it happens as a business. Now you do, and I will do this for you, you do this for me. And most of our energy, most of our validation, we want them to accept us. We not only want people to cooperate, we not only want people to understand, but we also want people to help us. Yes or no? Are you able to connect to what I am trying to say? I am saying very few comments. Are you all there with me? Am I audible? Good. So 50% of our that inner exuberance of true success is limited by the self-doubt, and then 20 to 30% by this unnecessary seeking of approval, and the rest of our capability, when it's just about to express itself, 70% approximately is limited. Now the remaining 30%, still the inner exuberance, the inner intelligence, when it's trying to express itself, because of this 70%, we have something called as distractions. And those distractions eat out some more percentage, 20 to 30% again. So nothing left almost. That is the reason why they say success is a state of being which is fulfilled within its own self. Success is not achieving something. Success is being proud of your own self. Truly being proud of your own self for what you have done in your life, what you have done with your life, what you have done with your life and what you have done in your life. You have to be truly feeling that fulfillment. And when you look at your own eyes in the mirror, when you look at yourself, you should feel, I'm worth it. I'm larger than life. I have utilized this life to the best extent possible. When you can feel that, that's success in life. And that can only happen when you do not limit yourself, when you do not self-harm yourself, or when you do not give importance to the stated statements by others. I keep repeating this. How many of us from our childhood remember certain situations where some uncle, auntie, parents, brothers, teachers, friends, somebody came to us and said a strong negative remark. You're not good at this. You can't do this. You're not made for this. You're too bad. And they made fun of us, or they made us feel dejected. And that remark, that statements they made are so strongly etched in our mind. Very strongly etched in our mind. And even today when we want to really do them, those etched remarks come to the surface. And we are not able to perform our life because to us, their validation is more important, not the self-validation. And thereby, because of that, people seeking people's validation. Somebody said, you're not good. Somebody said, you're average. Somebody said, you're too bad. And that stuck you so much because their validation is the most important. In India, char log kya kahenge? What will the people say? What will the 4 people say? Hindi, most Hindi speaking language people, everybody repeats this. अरे चारों लोग क्या कहेंगे? And then all through the life, what people will say, and we need to adopt secure. If you see, the first day, Mahatma Gandhi wanted to wear khadi and the kind of dressing. He changed his dressing from his London dressing, from his so-called educated, polished attire to the common Indian peasant kind of attire. Everybody in the Congress felt Gandhi lost it. Because Gandhi resonated with the poor. Because Gandhi could make the poor resonate with him. Don't you think he became the architect of India's freedom struggle? There are many great fighters like Subhash Chandra Bose, many great leaders, many great true son of the land like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, the greatest of the great. All of them have done enormous service for our freedom struggle. But why Mahatma Gandhi resonated well with the crowd? Because he was along with them. The lifestyle. Now, what am I trying to tell you is, every time, trust me, when Jesus Christ came, when Sai Baba, the holy Sai Baba came, when he was alive, people threw stones at him. Tell me one great leader who revolutionized the way of life of people. When he wanted to do something unique, people easily accepted. The truth is, creativity or excellence every time is new for the people. So people first reject, people shun, and then slowly appreciate, and then slowly follow. When people said good things, people always shun. When a scientist said Earth is round, people said, an astronomer said, Earth is round, not flat. People shunned him. And now everybody accepts it. Everybody follows it. In the same fashion, now the point is, all leaders are people who had the courage to walk their own path with their own conviction. Remember, we all have that intrinsic conviction that I am born to succeed. Everybody truly believes. That's the reason why every child, when he or she is born during the early ages, every child is so full of life, exuberant, happy, energetic. They jump around, run around all through the day, and they're never tired. And they never tired till they fall asleep. Are you able to understand? Why are we tired? Because it is not the lack of physical energy. It's the lack of that emotional energy. That inner exuberance does not come from the physical food or the physical activity. It comes from an inner, deep down emotion. They say, in the army, fantastic, excellent skill or excellent capabilities are required. One day, a psychological examination was conducted. A soldier was trained to a certain war scenario. And in the difficult time, he had to lift a very heavy, at least twice the weight of his body. So if he is 100 kilos weight, then he has to lift a 200 kilos equipment and run for about a long distance and then operate that, and it's a very energy consuming and difficult. A person was trained very intensively to perform that job, and he could manage to do the job. And then a psychological, again, a person who is far less weight than this person, the soldier, was put into a certain controlled situation where he was made to believe that he is about to die if he is not doing it. It's the last tipping point. If he is not performing that, or if he is not able to lift that heavy weight which this trained soldier could lift and could not move or could not do what it takes, he will die. He was made to believe. A psychological scene was set. And when a weak, fragile man was made to believe that he is about to die, if he will die if he doesn't do that, somehow he could gather all the strength in the world, could lift that heavy equipment and can make it, take it to that same long distance and place it there and even use that equipment there. We all have come across stories where weak or fragile or scared people, when the house is on fire or when there is a sudden imminent accident or a sudden risk of life happening, suddenly they develop enormous amount of courage and lift heavy objects and run. When there is an earthquake, when there is a fire at home, or when there is any sudden demand, somehow from deep within we derive that strength and we do that. Army psychologists finally concluded, you don't need to lift a very heavy object. You need three things. One, you should not think whether I can do that or not. When you are made to believe that you are about to die, or when the time is so pressing, when the mind does not think, can I do it? Any fragile, weak person can also lift a 200 kilo weight and run a long distance and operate it. Am I clear with you? If this, not only the army, even when a house is on fire, when the house is on earthquake, when you have an earthquake, or when sudden demand happens, when our own children are at life is at risk, all parents, somehow enormous amount of energy is derived and they do something impossible which otherwise they could never imagine. We have heard many stories like that. Psychologists say, if your mind has no time to listen to its own negative statement, how can I do it? When it has no time, it can do it. Anything is possible. Second, if your mind strongly listens to, I can do it, I have to do it. The first is not listening to the negative. The second is, though the negative is palpable, how can I do it? Where can I do it? What, how, where? All the questions, they're there. But still, I somehow deep down concentrate only on the inner conviction that I can do it. That's called desire. That's called desire. Mankind has multiple times proved, and I quote the most favorite and the famous quote of our ex-president Abdul Kalam, one of the genius, one of the beautiful son of this land, genius, beautiful son of this land, the Holy Bharat. He said, dreams are not what you see in the sleep. Dreams are what that does not make you sleep. Now, if you see, that's the inner deep desire quality. Either you are so positive that you cannot hear negative, or you should have no time to hear negative, or the third option, you have to train yourself long enough to make your mind slowly believe that you can do it. And when you do it, you need a lot of physical confirmation. That is the reason why when you go to gym, every time the people, when they lift weights, they're asked to look at themselves in the mirror. Because as they're lifting weights, they continuously tell their swelling, or they continuously tell to their muscles, now you are growing and I can do this. You need to tell yourself long enough with a physical confirmation you are able to do it, and then you will be able to do it and you will be able to achieve it. So either you need to stop listening, you should not have any time to listen to your negative feedback. That's always there in your mind. Or you should listen to your positive feedback that I am born to succeed so strongly that this negative feedback fails to take an effect on you. Or you need to train yourself long enough to believe that it's possible for you. And only then, out of these three, you need to. Now, for the first thing to happen, you need to be put into a drastic trouble, a very difficult situation. And that's not what we want. And even if it is done, it's only a one-time wonder. It's only a one-time wonder. When a question or a threat to life for us or for our beloved happens, everybody derives enormous strength. But that's seriously not what we want. And that's seriously, even if, unfortunately, if it happens, it's a one-time wonder. Now, what is that we need to? Is strongly have the desire to manifest success. And when you have that strong desire to manifest success, every human being who could have that level of desire to manifest success, that's the reason why the great people said, courage is not absence of fear. Courage is fear handled efficiently. So, when everybody or when your own self tells, how is it possible? Why? How? What? When these questions come for any dream or for any strong desire within you, and when you surpass them, the entire universe, the entire world will try and help you achieve whatever you want. Oh, there is many beautiful examples like that. The Brooklyn Bridge example, or any great examples. We have seen many people from rags to riches. In India also we have seen many people. Many self-made millionaires, billionaires are also there in India, who have self-made in one lifetime. And how people cooperated, or how did it happen for them? Because they were so focused. Now this happens to the very few. Now how to create that desire? If you have that deep down desire, you don't need any training, anything. You are truly born to succeed because you are a man on fire already. And no dust or no trouble can withstand the man on fire. Nothing, no force in the world can challenge the man on fire. So how to create that level of desire so that I also surpass all my obstacles and reach the success? Either you have it, or second option, you go for the third option. You train yourself long enough. There are people. The world is always full of haves and have-nots. Am I clear with you? Some people have it, some people don't have it. And why some people have it? The scientist or the Sanatana Dharma says that it's all dependent on our own subjective thinking. I am born to succeed. If you truly want to manifest that intrinsic desire within you, then you need to train, quote unquote, train your mind slowly into the belief that you are really born to succeed. You need to keep telling yourself, and you need to trust yourself more. It's not about what people say, or it's not about what situations happen. Trust me, when you're trying to walk, every child falls down. Every child falls down. When you're trying to do cycling, every child fails. But then those who stop cycling just because of one fall, or those who stop, have you ever seen a child just because he or she fell down for once, they are not trying to get up again and walk? No. You see, that's the way. We should have that inner exuberance to keep moving and train ourselves long enough into that true, deep inner belief, I am born to succeed, and then you will be able to feel the natural success. It's like, the old, in my olden days, in the 80s, 90s, even in the end of, or at the beginning of 2000, we used to find this water motors where people used to say, if you want from the underground, the boring, if you want the water, you have to pour some water into the pipe so that the water can dislodge the air that's stuck in the motor in the pipes. So, and then automatically the motor keeps running water. You might have seen that. In the same fashion, we need to feed it some water so that the motor can continuously bring out the water deep within. You need to feed yourself the true conviction and the true belief, and you need to walk the path so that after some time, when that air or the obstacle or that block, when it is removed out of you, you naturally start flowing or having that fountain of life, exuberance within you, called excellence. And until otherwise, you need to keep going. There is no option. Because the truth is, if you move forward towards success, obstacles will come. Even if you don't move forward and sit where you are, troubles are going to come. Spirituality from Sanatana Dharma, for the past 200 years, this trend, because of so many invasions, what happened? The good quality brass from the Mahabharata Yuddha, the Krishna, and after the Vedavyasa and the Krishna, what happened? Because of the Mahabharata, enormous amount of intellectual population is decimated. That is the reason why Lord Rama, when he wanted to kill Ravana, because even though it is very absolutely dharma oriented, it is very correct to kill that person because of Ravana, and Ravana himself innately wanted, because of the again Hiranyaksha and the Jaya Vijaya and the story. So Ravana has to be end. So he has to get killed by Rama, but whatever it is, Rama still fought within himself with the idea that should I really kill Ravana? Is there any other option to save him? Because one intellectual dies, enormous loss happens to the society. In the Mahabharata, enormous amount of intellectuals were lost. After that, we have the Parikshit and the Janamejaya. Even they are not long lived and not well trained. And after that, slowly this wisdom clan, the good quality of people reduced slowly. And then because of that, this entire Sampradaya, which was flourishing with Advaita Vedanta, which was flourishing with the divine wisdom, and which was flourishing with that enormous intelligence and knowledge, was slowly diminishing till we had this Vasco da Gama coming to India, till the Mughals or before that, and slowly And because that enormous amount of brain drain and the kind of cultural shift and all that were happening, slowly the good quality of crowd decreased, and slowly this ignorant crowd started forming their own ways. This is society when four people exist and two are intelligent and two are average, mediocre. When the mediocre goes, these two people, they form a community, and in that the superior will form the rules. Slowly, because of the invasion, now we have this spirituality is all about God, and if you have any trouble, you have karma, and so you need to meditate, and only God can. The truth is, in Sanatana Advaita Sampradaya, it was never about God. It was all about us, existence, us, I am. It was all about every individual's excellence, every individual being happy. That is what Ramarajya is also. And that is what everybody strived for. When every human being continued or persisted in exploring his own inner infinite potential and unraveling his own infinite existential intelligence, when everybody was walking towards excellence, realizing that life, the purpose of life is to feel fulfilled about this life, to use this inner excellence, intelligence to the fullest, so that when it feels fulfilled, then it has manifested its capabilities. The purpose of anything is to do the best of its capability. Man had to express his inner infinite excellence, to be so-called matured, realized in life. Every child has enormous potential, and every child has a dream to express it. Yes or no? We also had this. So Sanatana Dharma always insisted, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. I am the creator. It was never about God, it was never about Vishnu, it was never about Shiva, it was never about anybody. It was always about Aham, Aham, Aham. Divevidye Veditavye. The Vedas told two things, Paravidya and Aparavidya, relative science and superlative science. Relative science is all about to run your daily life, to understand your doctor, engineering studies, software studies, or any skill that sustain or make the life happen and run the life. But until otherwise, that excellence or you understand and steady human mind, remember, until otherwise a mind that is free is achieved, anything or everything man does is useless. There are people who are highly qualified and still are subjected to a lot of discrimination, suffering, torture, troubles, all because of their own mindset. There are so many who are not even 10th pass, but could excel in their life, that they live fantastic lives. There are many educated people who suffer. There are many. Now, the suffering and excellence, everything is derived out of your own subjectivity. How your mind looks at things. And that is the reason why when, in the army or in the group services or wherever, for any selections of any top quality, they always look at the aptitude of the person. because it is the attitude and the aptitude that actually makes or breaks the person. And every purpose of every education is to actually flower that attitude so that right aptitude can be achieved. And with the right aptitude, man can work for the alignment of his mind to his own inner infinite potential and experience that ever-flowing bliss of that inner infinite potential. Until otherwise that is achieved, no matter what man does is useless. Because no matter what I have become, if I am still mentally, emotionally not happy, no matter I have achieved a lot of money, it doesn't matter if I have achieved a very expensive car or a huge property and everything, but at the end of the day, if I am not happy emotionally and mentally, that success doesn't mean anything to me. There might be many people wanting to be like me, but because they don't know how I feel, people say this, are able to connect to what I'm trying to say. No, it's not about me, you have to understand it in an objective fashion. Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy. People are understanding. No matter how much money, no matter how much we achieve in material purposes. No, I am not trying to say that we should not achieve in the material purpose. The truth is, we should have all the material success in our life. But we should also have, most importantly, mental and emotional feeling of fulfillment. You should mentally feel, wow, fantastic, I had a fantastic life. You should emotionally feel good about your life. When you emotionally and mentally feel fulfilled within your own self, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you are a true success. Because it is very difficult to have such a mind which is fulfilled within its own self and a heart which is fulfilled within its own self. It's easy to earn money, but it's very difficult. Because you know what, there are many people who drive an excellent cars, who live an excellent life and still feel so very small. There are many people who feel very bad about them just because emotional and mental alignment is not there. So, what is true success? That's possible, but it is possible when you do not give in to when you don't have time to give in to your conditionings. And that happens, unfortunately. That should not happen for everybody because it's very dangerous. And when you can do the second option, when you strongly listen to yourself, naturally, and if you are naturally, truly listening to yourself, you're already a success. God bless you. You're on a fantastic journey. But if you are not, and if you are emotionally and mentally troubling, and if you have certain continuous and constant self-harming, self-doubting, self-limiting thoughts coming to you, questions coming to you, telling you, can you do that? How can you do that? How will it happen? What will you do? Insecurities. What will you do if this opens? What will you do if that happens? If that's happening and that is running your life, then you are running towards a disaster. And then this is the time that you need to train yourself long enough so that you can again feel that inner exuberance, because now you have fallen into the subjectivity. You have to understand the truth and you have to feel. Until otherwise, I feel fulfilled, no way to go. Giving in is not an option. Giving in for my negative thoughts, for the obstacles or for the troubles is not an option. Because if I do, I'm anyway not going to feel good. And if I don't, in my life, in my training, I'm going to suffer. To explore my inner infinite potential and to continuously try to fight when you're going to gym, when you're exercising. Initially, you don't like it. Initially, you don't like it. But you need to tell yourself, if I don't go to the gym, if I get more obese, anyway I'm going to suffer with a disease or some health problem. So anyway I'm not going to be happy. Do you want to slowly walk towards a very serious disaster? Or do you want to trouble yourself to a small extent daily so that you can live an enormous happy life? The question that comes to the mind, why everybody is not feeling it, if that is the truth, why am I not able to? These things are actually trying to stop you even before you start your journey. And that is the reason why they say, if you truly want to unravel the true echo of your own inner infinite potential, screaming and telling you, you are born to succeed because you are originally designed to succeed. And if you want to really feel, I am born to succeed because I am designed to succeed. I am that absolute intelligence. Then, initially, you need to give in to the training. And the training is always initially difficult. But you need to have faith in yourself. The long enough you have faith in yourself, the easier you succeed. That's the only option. Sanatana Dharma says, Sranatavya, Manatavya, Nididhyasana. You need to listen to the truth. And you need to repetitively repeat the truth to yourself. And then slowly you need to try living the truth until otherwise you realize you are living the truth. That's called Nididhyasana. They never said, Sanatana Dharma never ever said, go to God and God will bless you. It's the past 200 years trouble, because past 200-300 years, because of that transition and because of a lot of emotional and mental turmoil to the entire population of this holy land Bharat, we slowly have come to this stage. Originally, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada came and he has re-established the original authentic science of Sanatana Advaita Dharma, making the Buddha, Jaina and all religions accept that Advaita is the most superior, true, authentic science and philosophy or way of life of this holy land. And that is the eternal truth. He debated with the most established and the most prominent leaders of all faiths and has re-established the truth. By the time Adi Shankaracharya came, India was full of people who were atheists. Now, why do you think the truth keeps always hiding itself? By the continuous and constant untruth that keeps coming. How? Because remember the truth. The truth is very powerful and it is self-existent. If I put a light on your face, 1,000-watt bulb, and you're looking at it, instantly you'll feel a lot of light. After some time you'll feel darkness. Just keep looking at the light, keep looking at the light, keep looking at the light, and then once you look everywhere, you feel everywhere it's dark. And then you will not be able to see anywhere. And then when you are trying to see somewhere, oh, I'm not able to see it, I'm not able to see. And when you try to look at all the surroundings, slowly again everything. Now the light again is difficult to see. Your pupils, they dilate. And then when you dilate, when you look at the light, they have to again constrict. It becomes difficult for you. The perspective that you look at the truth is totally different, and the perspective with which you look at the untruth is totally different. So when you have to change the perspective, an enormous shift needs to happen. And it is very difficult to continuously maintain the perspective of truth. Why? Because we are not disciplined long enough. When we are disciplined, we have eternal success. And that is the reason why the great Sai Baba said, Shraddha and Sabhuri. We need to have enormous amount of Shraddha. And then patience. And that alone will result in eternal, happy, good life. Patience and attention towards the truth. That's the only option. The negative keeps coming, and they keep coming. And they keep coming, and they keep asking you, or they continuously try to make you ask this question to your own self. Can I do it? How? What is the guarantee? What is the possibility? You need to look around. You need to see. You need to be motivated by the strong urge of mentally and emotionally fulfilled. If I am not mentally and emotionally aligned, I cannot perfect the skill I want to. An emotionally depressed person, do you think can he or she perfect any skill in his life? His mind is always agitated, troubled, continuously the questions nagging them. They get frustrated. That is the reason why we have even top performers getting frustrated with life. Sanatana Dharma says, or I try to put in the context, a modern context words of the Sanatana Dharma message. And the message is, all champions play to better their love of the game. All champions play to better their love of the game. But all players play to win the game. Life is a game. Life is a game. Life is a game. All players play to win the game. Now everybody is agitated. I want to win this. I want to buy a car, and so I want to get rich. Everybody is motivated to run away from the insecurities. Everybody feels insecurity in their mind. And so, I will be secured if I achieve that much money. They will have a goal. Everybody, according to their own capacity, will create a goal. And their mind will say, if you have that much money, you will be happy. Then people will try to aggressively run towards that goal. I want that much money. I want to achieve that much money so that I can be secured. I want that much money so that I can be secured. Originally, what are they getting scared of? Their insecurity. They want to run away from their insecurity, and their own mind creates the insecurity. Their own mind tells, if you achieve that much money, am I clear with you? You will be fulfilled. The truth is, people who are very rich are also suffering. In India, very unfortunate, if peasants, farmers, because of difficulty are committing suicide, very unfortunate, I understand. Very unfortunate. But farmers, if poor farmers are committing suicide, there are many rich people also committing suicide. Money doesn't solve problems. It only magnifies the person you are. There are many rich, many school kids these days, many college kids, just because they could not get the kind of marks that they want, they're happy with their mother and father can feed them all their life. Money is not a problem. But just because they could not achieve the kind of marks they wanted, the people who commit suicide. This is too very unfortunate. So what am I trying to tell you is, everybody is playing to win the game, and that is the reason why everybody is struggling. It's the trick of the mind. Life is a game. All players play to just win the game. Champions, they play to better their love of the game. They are already in love with the game. Losing, they don't get dejected. When they miss, they don't feel disappointed. They just love the game. They play and they enjoy their game, and they enjoy the feeling they experience when they are feeling the game or when they are playing the game. And that is the reason why any amount of losses, or there is no goal for them. Playing the best game is their goal. Are you able to understand what I am trying to say? Then life naturally happens easy for them, and they naturally excel at the game. All champions, if you see any champion player, they play to better their love of the game. And all players, in India we say gully level players, people at the street level, everybody is so obsessed about winning. Everybody is so obsessed about winning. If you understand, everybody is so very obsessed about winning. Next time you watch a cricket match, or next time you watch any international match, last over 12 runs, 6 balls, 12 runs. The entire community, everybody watching, everybody is tensed, everybody is excited. They are very tensed, excited, or very nervous, or whatever. They are very exuding a lot of energy. Whenever the camera person, pans the camera to the dressing room or to the dugout, or when you see, the rest of the players are so very relaxed. It's not that they are doing show off. It's truly they are relaxed because they are playing it for the love of the game. Yes, winning and losing matters, but still, all the professional players, if you see, they play and then they are relaxed because they are all playing for the love of the game. Incidentally, winning and losing happens. Everybody tries to give their best. Everybody tries to give their best. If they lose, they still feel satisfied that they have given their best and they are happy just with that. It is we who just watch the game are so very excited, perspiring, nervous, tension, all this happens to us. All players play to win the game, and that is the reason why they struggle in their life. All champions are busy loving the game, and they just play to better their game, better their love of the game. And so their entire focus is on the love of the game and the game. And that is the reason why they excel there. And that is the reason why in their game they are always called champions. In your craft, in whatever you do in your love, whatever you do in your life and love, whatever you do, are you doing to win it or are you doing to better the love for it? When you ask that question to yourself, you will realize it's always about winning for you. Sometimes, most people. And that is actually making you suffer in life. Anyway, next Sunday we will all meet and I will elaborate on this also because I want you to understand the true champion mindset. Understanding the champion mindset is very important to be a champion, because if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the attitude, you can't have the aptitude. You can't have the aptitude, you can't have the alignment of the mind towards the goal. And when you can't have the alignment of the mind towards the goal, success becomes failure. The truth is, everybody's true intrinsic belief, I am born to succeed. Now come on, say with me. I am born to succeed. Now when I say I am born to succeed, don't feel Guruji is born to succeed. I want you, I am, me. I am born to succeed. Okay? I know, I'm just kidding. I am born to succeed. Because I am designed to succeed. Once again, everybody, no, Facebook will not charge you any money to type on the comment box. So I want everybody to type this comment and feel that I am born to succeed because I am designed to succeed. Good? Fantastic? Good. I'm born to succeed. That's the truth. I am. The pulsation. Every human being has this basic pulsation. I am born to succeed. Everybody desires. Everybody believes. It's only their mind that's playing the tricks and making the success difficult. Or else, success is inevitable for every man. Mankind is born to succeed. Very happy, very proud of all of you. Very happy. And I will elaborate this champion mindset and training and education. We will go ahead in the series and I will explain you more. You can download Born to Succeed app in the Google Play Store and in the Apple Store. And there you will find enormously powerful supramental meditations to weed out the self-doubt, weed out the fear, weed out the anger, weed out the frustration. Remove Kshudram Hrudaya Daurbalyam. The weakness of the heart is not good for me because I am born to succeed. And I remove the weakness of the heart. And as I remove the weakness of the heart, I daily, slowly, every day realize I am born to succeed. So you can download that, weed out, remove all your fear, stress, emotional, mental burdens, day by day, every day, and feel that excellence, feel that infinite intelligence overflowing through you. Mankind is inevitably born to succeed. God bless you. I will answer your excuse me. I will answer your comments. And I see few people asking something. So I will answer all of that. next Sunday, and I will also make you meditate, experience a fantastic transformative session. Am I clear with you? So next Sunday is going to be a big day. I will all make you experience the transformation. Looking forward to meet you all again. Jai Guru Datta. Jai Guru Datta. Jai Jai Guru Datta.